here this evening. We know it's a very busy time of year. Today is Passover begins. We know that you're looking towards APs and finished mocks. So thank you for making the time this evening. And we look forward to continuing this conversation with you over the course of your 4 years here at BESA Scottsdale. My name is Megan Mitrovich. I'm the lead college counselor here. I just marked my 3rd year with BESA last month. So this will be my 3rd group of seniors. And this is my colleague, Michelle Connor.
Hi, nice to see so many of you again tonight. Like Megan said, my name is Michelle Connor. I am in my 2nd year of college counseling here at BESA Scottsdale, and it's wonderful to be here. Quick background, I got my bachelor's in psychology at the U of A and then went on to get my master's in counseling at ASU, which brought me here. I love working with the kids in terms of finding their personal interests and what colleges will be a good fit for them.
Wonderful. So without further ado, we'll get started. So tonight we just want to give you some of the basics. College planning here at BESA Scottsdale. You'll notice that the emphasis tonight is really on the high school experience, not the college application process, because really everything you're doing and making of your high school experience are the pieces that you're going to fit together when that time comes. So when we have our college planning night for rising 11th graders and obviously for rising 12th graders, we'll get more so into the admissions process itself and what that looks like. But tonight we really want to focus on the planning that we know will be the foundation for that later success. So tonight's topics, we're going to talk about admissions criteria. In your packet, you'll see there is an admissions criteria worksheet. By now, that may be something you've seen a few times. It's something that we frequently distribute here at our school. And we compiled a list of factors that the colleges tend to most heavily weigh and consider when they are reviewing applications. So those are the things that students can really be working on now. So a common misconception is that the admissions process only takes place during that 12th grade year, but in actuality, it's everything you're doing in grades 9 through 11 that the colleges are going to see. So we want to empower students to make wise choices rather than looking back as a senior and wishing maybe that they thought things through a little bit differently. So the different criteria that we'll be looking at tonight include academic record, standardized testing, extracurriculars, and letters of recommendation. And then at the end of tonight's presentation, we'll have a senior panel. Some of the current seniors will come in and answer questions about their experience here. And we'll also be really excited to reveal to you our 2016-17 acceptances. A lot of students found out admissions outcomes just this past week. So the first thing when a college reviews a student that they might look at is their high school transcript. And this is going to be something new for a lot of you, so we want to make sure that you fully understand what a transcript is. It's different than a report card. So prior to 9th grade, you probably received report cards. Actually, you did receive report cards with your different trimester grades, but your transcript is a compilation or a list of all of the different grades that you receive grade by grade. So grades 9, 10, 11, then you apply to the colleges and they'll also see your senior year enrollment. So it's the first impression that the college gets of a student. That 9th grade year is really important because this is the first year that counts towards your grade point average when you apply to the colleges. So they will not be looking at the grades that you received prior to 9th grade. The grades that you receive will be averaged into a number out of 4.0 on an unweighted scale and a 5.0 on a weighted scale. And that extra point is added to all math classes, pre-calculus and beyond. It's added to honors, AP, post-AP, and capstone courses. So essentially everything is weighted aside from non-AP classes and the first 2 years of foreign language. So it is in fact impossible to earn a 5.0 GPA for that reason. So the colleges will see those grades. It is again a foundational year. So what the colleges are looking to see is an upward trajectory or consistency over time. So it is a really compelling narrative if each year, a student is improving. far more compelling than if a student starts strong and then we kind of see a slide, because that 11th grade year is going to be that most recent snapshot that the colleges have when they evaluate a student in terms of their work ethic, their determination, their motivation, kind of what person have you been shaped into. That's not to say that they only look at straight A students. You know, that would not be true at all. So they're really looking to see that the student is challenging themselves too, so doing well in those classes, but challenging themselves at the same time. So taking that hard course, you know, even if maybe you don't get the straight A, not a compromise where you're taking that hard course even if it means a D or an F, but finding that in between, right, where you're challenging yourself and still doing well. Particular emphasis is placed also on the classes that correlate to a student's academic interests. So if a student really plans to major in math or science or physics, very STEM oriented, all of their grades are going to be, you know, considered, but at the same time, it's going to be really important that that student has the necessary foundation to be successful in their intended field if they do have an intended field. So another thing we like to tell families in terms of the transcript is that the students' electives are really important, because the basis curriculum is so structured in terms of students having a certain, you know, amount of classes that they take that are defined for them, that these are the classes that demonstrate choice. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the student needs to take the hardest class at basis, I know that's subjective too, or take an AP class, but take a class where the colleges can see, okay, the student has mentioned that they're really interested in politics. Taking a class like Intro to Law made a lot of sense. Shaping that narrative, getting them to think about what they might want to do, and having a lot of exploratory experience. So that's something that they're really going to be looking at closely when they evaluate a student. And I have good news. By virtue of being a BASIS student, no college or university is ever going to look at a student from our school's transcript and say, but why didn't they challenge themselves? Your curriculum is inherently rigorous. So, you know, they are amazed that you are able to complete such advanced courses, that you graduate with the level of knowledge and understanding that you do. So that's never going to be an issue, whereas at another high school, there's often the question, well, should have they taken the AP, or did they need to take honors or regular? Here, that's kind of built into that curriculum for you. So when it comes to your electives, you should be taking the classes that make sense for you and not worrying about whether or not you're taking certain classes because they are perceived as hard or the right courses to take. It's more a matter of personal fit. The other thing that I want to mention, because I know that registration happened recently, is that students should feel free to reach out to college counseling or to Mr. Garvey if they feel as though their classes maybe aren't what they would have liked to have selected, or they're having second thoughts. Students don't have to take 8 classes in order to be competitive, especially if it comes at the expense of extracurricular involvement or overall grades. So if you're thinking you're a morning person, an afternoon person, if you're thinking you want to make time for an outside activity, or maybe there's a class you want to take that you didn't sign up for, feel free to reach out and we would welcome that conversation. So this is an example of a transcript, because we know a lot of you have not necessarily seen one. So in the transcript, you'll see this student has 7th and 8th grade grades on their transcript. And I want to make sure that everyone understands that these grades do not count towards the student's GPA. So any high school coursework that you take prior to 9th grade will appear on your transcript as proof that you have satisfied high school graduation requirements and that you can graduate from high school in the state of Arizona. So although these grades do not count into the student's GPA, they do appear on the transcript as that proof. So the colleges will see any math that is algebra and beyond, they will see world history, and they will also see economics, because those are the classes that are required in addition to any other coursework that a student takes that satisfies high school requirements. So you can see, you know, by year, you can kind of see a trend. So if there's that upward trend, if there are certain subjects in which the student continues to excel, that they're challenging themselves in those subjects. We can see that current enrollment, and here is that GPA information. And a couple of other things I wanted to mention. You'll see that there is only one grade for each class. No one sees the students' trimester grades. Those are internal. They will only see that final grade that the student earns in each class. And the other important thing to note about that is that final grade is determined for AP courses after the curve is applied. So no one is going to see any grades up until that point when the transcript is sent out. The other thing I wanted to mention is that the transcript, you'll see this is not an official transcript unless it is signed. So if you're applying to summer programs, if you're applying to internships and you need to send in official transcript, you need to make sure that you come into our office and get a signed copy. Otherwise, that transcript is unofficial and your application may not be complete. So just something we want to note about that. The other thing I want to mention, and there's a worksheet in your handbook, that's the Fine Arts elective form. In the state of Arizona, or not in the state of Arizona, just for basic schools actually, every student has to have 1 credit of fine arts. Doesn't matter if you do it in 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade, but 1 credit of high school fine arts in order to graduate. And BASIS created that rule intentionally because there are colleges and universities, for example, the University of California system, that require all applicants to have 1 credit of fine arts to even be considered. So this is a safeguard. So it's also good exploration, and we believe that there's value in the fine arts and creative expression. But if a student does not want to take the fine arts credit here at school, they can get 1 fine arts credit completed outside of school, and that requires 120 hours of instruction, practice, performance in a fine art, and the student would need to complete the fine arts elective approval form that can be found in Naviance or in your packet. We obviously have copies in our office too, but they have a full calendar year to do that. If they want to knock that out during the summer, they have from August 1 to August 1, and it's a pass-fail if they do it outside of school. So the credit would appear on their transcript, pass-fail, and it would be called fine arts. So that's something I wanted to mention. Another thing you'll notice about the transcript is these asterisks. And these asterisks indicate whether or not a student sat for an AP exam. And I know you guys are taking AP or have taken AP mocks. So you don't have to take the AP for every AP course that you take here. You do need 1 in every core subject over the course of your 4 years in order to graduate. So 1, humanities, language arts, science, and math. But if a student does not take the AP exam, they will take an alternate exam that is based on prior year's AP examinations, and that will constitute 40% of their final grade. But the colleges can see from that asterisk whether or not the student took the AP exam. They won't see the score, but they do know whether or not the student sat for the exam, and that is indicated here in the transcript legend. So, any questions about transcripts, grades? Yeah.
So I'm just curious, with just the final year grade, how do the schools, how do you handle couple questions, how do you handle the mid-year reports? Because most of the colleges want to see a mid-year report.
Yep.
And, I know that some of the UC application, you have to put in grades by semester.
There is a roundabout where there's a bubble you click that says I have full year grades.
Okay.
So for those, that would be the way it would work. Other schools, for example, USC, you enter the same final grade for every single trimester or semester, and those schools are familiar with how we grade, so then they would know that essentially that's our way of indicating that the student's final grade was whatever letter they earned. And then to your second point, that we don't, for 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, obviously send those trimester grades, but you are correct that as a senior, colleges will see that student's enrollment, so they need to continue to challenge themselves because they'll see the classes that the student has signed up for, and they do also receive the first trimester grades.
Okay, and so would you then submit, while they're doing their applications, which a lot lot of them are due, in that year. They want to know those first semester grades.
Correct.
So you just submit the first trimester.
We submit whatever the school asks for. And most schools are satisfied with first trimester, but if they have questions about a student, they might ask for second trimester. If there are concerns about something called senioritis that can set in, or if they think that it might make a more compelling case for a student because they're having a very strong senior year. So that's how it works right now. Obviously 3 years down the line things could change, but right now that's how that works. Yeah. Other questions? Okay. So then, this is our AP conversion table, also in your parent-student handbook, also in the college counseling workbook that we provided to you. So you can see how your AP exam results would impact your cumulative course grade, which is the average of your 3 trimester grades. And the AP exam does, I believe, improve grades for 94% of students. So it's a very high percentage, or maintain. Yes? That's a great question too. So when you apply to college, the applications allow you to self-report whatever AP exam scores you would like to share. We encourage students to only share passing scores of 3 or higher. So you want to put your best foot forward and present yourself in the best possible light. So it's up to you what you share when it comes to AP exam scores. You don't send an official report to the colleges, it is self-reported. That being said, once a student commits to a college, meaning they decide which college they've been admitted to that they want to attend, they do send an official AP exam report if they would like to receive credit or placement for their results. Other questions? Are we good? Wonderful. So now we're going to talk about standardized tests. So the first test that we want to talk about is the PSAT, which is the practice version of the SAT. You guys are fortunate in that you will hopefully have to only take one version of this test. So it did undergo some changes. We'll see what the future holds, but you very well may be a grade that gets to take the same version of this test for your 3 years of 9th, 10th, and 11th grade that you'll be taking it. In 9th and 10th grade, we just want you to treat this as pure practice. Get a good night's sleep, eat breakfast in the morning, come to school, give it your best shot. I know some students do like to practice just to see kind of how they can fare if they practice, but we actually like to have a baseline because we want to know when you take it without practice, how do you fare, so that we know when you're going into that 11th grade year, kind of where you can focus your efforts and your attention. So we want you to treat it as practice going into that year. The 10th grade year,